In 1912, the world witnessed one of the most tragic maritime disasters in history, the sinking of the legendary RMS Titanic. At the time, it was the largest and most luxurious ship ever built. Stretching over 880 feet long, the Titanic was a floating city. It had grand dining halls, elegant staircases, a swimming pool, and even a gym. To many people, it represented the peak of human engineering. The ship was built by the company Harland & Wolff and operated by White Star Line. Engineers believed its advanced design made it incredibly safe. Some newspapers even described the ship as unsinkable. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic began its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, heading toward New York City. On board were more than 2,200 passengers and crew. Among them were wealthy businessmen, hopeful immigrants, families, and workers, all traveling for different reasons. Some passengers stayed in luxurious first-class cabins that looked like five-star hotels, while others in third class were simply chasing dreams of a new life in America. Commanding the ship was an experienced captain, Edward J. Smith, who had spent decades sailing the Atlantic. For the first few days, the journey went smoothly. The ocean was calm, the sky was clear, and passengers enjoyed music, fine dining, and the excitement of crossing the Atlantic aboard the most famous ship in the world. But on the night of April 14th, everything changed. Late that evening, the Titanic entered a region known to contain floating icebergs. Several warning messages had been sent from other ships earlier that day, but the Titanic continued sailing at nearly full speed. At 11:40 p.m., two lookouts suddenly spotted something directly ahead in the dark. An iceberg. The crew reacted immediately, trying to turn the ship and avoid a direct collision. But it was too late. The massive iceberg scraped along the side of the Titanic, tearing open several sections of the hull below the waterline. At first, many passengers didn't realize how serious the damage was. The ship seemed stable, and some even joked about the incident. But below deck, seawater was rapidly flooding multiple compartments of the ship. The Titanic had been designed with watertight compartments to prevent sinking. However, the damage was too extensive. One by one, the compartments began filling with water. Soon the terrifying truth became clear. The Titanic was going to sink. Crew members began preparing lifeboats and waking passengers. But there was a major problem. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board. The evacuation began under the rule of women and children first. As panic slowly spread across the ship, some lifeboats were launched half empty, while others filled quickly with desperate passengers. Meanwhile, the ship's orchestra continued playing music in an attempt to calm the crowd. As the freezing Atlantic water rushed into the ship, the front of the Titanic began sinking lower and lower. Passengers clung to railings, prayed, or tried to find space on the remaining lifeboats. Finally, in the early hours of April 15, 1912, the Titanic could no longer stay afloat. The enormous ship lifted high into the air, broke apart, and disappeared beneath the icy waters of the North Atlantic. More than 1,500 people lost their lives in the disaster, making the sinking of the RMS Titanic one of the deadliest peacetime maritime tragedies in history. Hours later, survivors drifting in lifeboats were rescued by the passenger ship RMS Carpathia, which had rushed to the scene after receiving Titanic's distress signals. The tragedy shocked the entire world. In the years that followed, new maritime safety laws were introduced, including rules requiring ships to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board. More than a century later, the wreck of the Titanic still rests deep on the ocean floor, silently reminding us of the night the unsinkable ship met its fate. And the story of the Titanic remains one of the most powerful and haunting disasters in history.